Black man. Okay.
So we're gonna call it rolling into, yeah. Please, are you ready? We'll reconvene. It's, let's just call it 7:05 p.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll again.
Alderperson Jermenski. Present. Alderperson Chapman.
Present.
Alderperson Smith. Present. Alderperson Key. Alderperson Randall.
Present.
Alderperson Rogers. Present. Mayor Clark.
Present. We have a quorum again. So we will continue to the next slide, please. So, we saw where we left off in the previous administration. And of course, we come and find ourselves in the Clark administration, current administration. This current administration inherited $164 million in debt obligations. And we've gone over, of course, through this presentation, and there were some things that we actually didn't address. My inherited $164 million in debt obligations. Back to that pension issue with police and fire, we inherited a loss of 35% of state revenue that's now being diverted to, or I like to say garnished, to fund, of course, the pensions. Of course, we inherited a gross lack of financial and personnel records. And for those who can go back to May of 2019, you may recall when Ben Bradley came to the city of Harvey and took a look in the city and looked at all of the boxes that was thrown all over the place and the records that were all over the place. I'm also going to, speaking on that issue, commend the clerk's office for doing everything that they did, along with, of course, the rest of the team, to try to get those documents in order. Because it was a seismic piece of work and labor that needed to be done in order to do so. Of course, we inherited a lack of annual audits, and of course, because we didn't have the audits, we didn't have the paperwork either to complete some of those audits. And finally, we inherited the city's reputation for and the public perception of corruption and mismanagement. And that's where we started. Next slide. So where do we go from here? Next slide. Well, where does the city get its property, get its revenue from? First, property taxes. In general, cities will get their revenue, a lion's share of their revenue from the property taxes. In the case of the city of Harvey collects approximately 52% of its property taxes. On average, we are losing, because of a failure to pay property taxes, somewhere to $25 to $27 million a year that we're not collecting in property taxes. And specifically from a commercial property tax standpoint, it's about $12 million. I'm not going to go into 12,217,517. It's about $12 million. Another way that the city gets revenue, and other cities as well, is through sales taxes. But the majority of the businesses, at least 90% of the businesses in the city of Harvey are cash-based businesses. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a cash-based business at all. But I will be honest with you, some of those cash-based businesses do not engage in the proper reporting of the cash that they receive as revenue for their businesses. And I'll give you an example. There is a business that used to be in the city of Harvey by the name of Sugar Babies. And Sugar Babies put down on the reporting to the state that for the whole day, for those who are not familiar with Sugar Babies was a nightclub, bar and nightclub. It may also call itself Gorilla, like that particular one about. But it put on its reporting to the state of Illinois that its gross income was $25,000 for the year. Some people laughing already because you know it's a joke. $25,000. But when we looked back and looked at their liquor sales alone, the liquor sales they had sold at approximately $483,000 worth of liquor. But it wasn't reported. Most of that stuff, cash. And it was only because the liquor commissioner and the team who worked with the liquor commissioner was able to uncover that, and we were able to bring that to the attention of the state. And so, many of our businesses, our cash-based businesses, bring in the revenue, but they don't report it. So we don't get the full amount of sales taxes. We don't get, and then when it comes to state income taxes, that's another way that the city will get its revenue. State motor fuel taxes. Those things help to fix roads and sidewalks and take care of lights and things of that nature. That's where a city gets its revenue from. Other taxes, real estate taxes, transfer taxes, video gaming taxes, terminal push taxes, things of that nature, grants, license and permit charges, and of course, miscellaneous revenue that we get from cell towers, rentals, cable franchise agreements, and things of that nature. That's basically how a city gets its revenue. Next slide. From the property tax standpoint, we file a levy every December. A levy is filed with the county, telling the county how much money we need. This is what cities normally do. They include the city, the school districts, townships, park districts, the library, community colleges, NWRB, forest preserves, things of that nature. If you ever take a look at your tax bill, you will see that the city of Harvey is only one line on your entire tax bill of how much you tax. And there's limits on how much a local government can tax. So this goes back to our understanding of our property taxes. And the city of Harvey cannot just arbitrarily decide that they're going to go up just any amount of money that the city would like to go up on their taxes. Municipalities don't have the ability to be able to do that. Now, the county assessor does some things. They add together the levy amounts public bodies needs, eventually it comes with the value of properties, and they put all that together, and I'm just going to say, because there's been some concerns as far as that's concerned, but they come up with the amount of what they believe the property is worth, and based on that, how your property should be taxed. And property taxes generally are basically based on the market value of the property that you own. Okay? And people with people with expensive, sorry, I'm laughing at this one. People with expensive properties pay more, and less expensive properties pay less. I probably have to disagree with that, but sometimes, that's the way it's supposed to work. Next slide. But the largest amount that we get, and the largest amount that most municipalities receive in revenue, is from property taxes. So, here are our challenges. One, compared to surrounding communities, Harvey has fewer commercial, retail, and industrial properties to contribute to our tax base. As a result, the larger tax burden falls on who? The Harvey residents. And the Harvey residents have for decades, I'm going to repeat, for decades, been floating this boat in the city of Harvey to make sure that we could even exist. So to all of the residents in the city that are homeowners and pay those taxes, we thank you very much for doing so. But because of the previous administration, the city of Harvey's residents are taxed at one of the top 3 highest rates of all municipalities in the county. So we're taxed high. 52%, as I said, of the city's residents and, of course, the commercial properties do not pay their property taxes. So we lose that revenue. And many of the city businesses, of course, don't pay. As of 2021, those businesses, those commercial properties owe, and I've said it so much, it almost became a song, $12,217,517 in unpaid taxes. That is 1 year. Some of those businesses have not paid taxes for 20 years. And if we go back, and I'm not going to ask the person operating the slides to do so, but the very first thing that we do is the vast majority of the revenue that a municipality gets is from property taxes. And this is what we have. Next slide, please. The Cook County reassessed, of course, property values, and many residents, because of the property taxes, cannot afford their homes. They're taxed out of their homes. Next slide, please. So, what did we do? We pledged, along with this body before you, to freeze residential property taxes, even though we were facing a $150 million deficit. Now, there were some people who asked the question of, why would you do that? Why would you freeze increasing property taxes when you know that you already are $150 million in the hole? I'll tell you why. First of all, there's just a downright order of fairness. And the people in the city of Harvey have paid so much from a property tax standpoint that it's absolutely ridiculous. These are, some are poor, some are working poor people who have just enough month at the end of the month to try to be able to make it every single day. And when we go as a government and we decide that we're going to increase those taxes even more, what happens? We get what's called diminishing returns. People get to the point where they say, you know what? The taxes are just too high. I give up. I'm not doing it anymore. A lot of them have already done that and walked away from their homes. And when you see a lot of these abandoned properties in the city of Harvey, they weren't always that way. But some of them could not afford to stay in the homes in which they lived because the taxes were too high. And so what we wanted to do was wanted to show the people and the residents in the city of Harvey that we appreciate them, that we recognize you, that we see you. Because the same things that you go through, we go through as well as property owners in the city. We seek you. And to increase your taxes, to me, would be just as irresponsible as some claim to be responsible because we owe $150 million. We would not collect any more money because we increased the taxes. So the taxes, if we increase the taxes, that 150 wasn't going to go down because fewer people were going to pay. Now, we're only one of 15 taxing bodies that's on your tax bill. So when you go look at your tax bill the next time, whenever they're just going to make their way into mailboxes. And when they do, and you take a look at your tax bill, just remember the city of Harvey did not increase its taxes. So if your tax bill has increased, then you need to ask yourself, who was it of those 15 districts that increased the tax bills to make you pay more? Because it wasn't the city of Harvey. And even though we knew that for some, considered it would put us in a bad way, we just couldn't do it. And I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of the council members that agreed with it. And we decided to freeze those. Next slide. But the second installment of taxes should have been out in August 1st. But they have not sent out tax bills yet. Has anybody, at least not to me, has anybody in here got their Cook County property tax bill yet? Okay. I just want to make sure, maybe I was missing mine. Okay. But as a result, you have to look at it this way. With all the things that we've talked about so far as money is concerned, the one thing you need to realize is the city of Harvey does not have a surplus. Remember I said $165 million worth of debt. The city of Harvey does not have a cushion. The city of Harvey does not have a soft place to land. When we don't get those tax dollars, that is all the money that we would have had. And as a result, because the bills have not gone out, people have not paid. And because people have not paid, the city has not received the money that it was supposed to receive in September. So, to put it in plain English, y'all, we've been riding on E for quite some time. And you know how you get when you're riding on E, and you trying to figure out, okay, am I finally on fumes, or when is the car going to stop? Well, the city relies on those revenues to operate, and we continue to have those expenses, even though there's no more money coming in. Next slide. So, even if we receive today those taxes, we still remain unable to meet our operational expenses. Because that money is already been spent. Okay? And the amount that's lost by the defaulting property taxpayers at 25 to 27 million puts us in a hole so deep that we can't even meet our other obligations. Okay? And so we've been without funding since September. And it's exacerbated everything we've had to do. Because all those things we were talking about from the previous administration, we didn't even talk about all of the litigation that we have to deal with, all of the judgments that we have to pay, all of the arbitrations awards that we have to pay. We haven't discussed those. All of the vendors and everything that we must take care of. We're not getting any of those dollars, and we're not able to pay our vendors, and we're not able to take care of our operational expenses. Next slide. So, back to the pension bills and that lawsuit. We need to explain how that impacts us. I'm used to saying that, but I'm going to try to say season. I'm going to you can read what it says here. But I want to try to kind of explain it to you. So, the city of Harvey gets a grant, say for instance, for $1 million, okay? And it's through the state. Because the city of Harvey gets a grant for $1 million, which is a great thing because we need grants. I think most people would, agree we need money. We need fixed infrastructure. Streets, curbs, sidewalks, lights. We need to do those things. And so say for instance the city of Harvey got $1 million grant. One of the first things that happens with that $1 million grant is the comptroller, the state comptroller, because of the pension lawsuit, takes 35% of that $1 million. You follow me? So they take $350,000 of that $1 million. Now, we already established that we don't have the operational expenses, that we don't get the property tax and the sales tax and the state income tax and all those other things that we're supposed to get. So when we get a $1 million grant and then the state takes the $350,000, we are now in violation of that grant. Am I right, Howard? We are now in violation of that grant. So in order for us to get out of that being in violation, we have to come up with $350,000. $350,000. And we have to find it wherever we have to pay, and wherever we can find it. Remember we talking about robbing Peter to pay Paul? We have to rob Peter to pay Paul to try to figure out how to come up with the money to pay that $350,000. That $350,000 comes from where? Our operational expenses, which is an operational expense, which is a short way of saying payroll, to pay the employees in the city of Harvey. And if we don't come up with that $350,000, then what we can't use the grant, $350,000, and right now we have, what is it, Attorney General's office, coming after us for $17,500 for a $50,000 grant we got for police. We got a grant for police. The comptroller took 35%, $17,500. And then the Attorney General's office is coming after us for the $17,500. So now we have to defend ourselves. So not only do we have to pay, we have to defend ourselves, we have to pay attorneys to defend us because we actually already properly used that $17,500 for the purposes of the grant. It's just a vicious cycle over and over again. And this is what happens. And every time we take one step forward, we go 2 steps back. Every single time. Somebody's out there saying 3 steps back. Next slide. So, because of that, in addition to taking 35% of state funds, of MFT funds, they're taking restricted funds, they're taking every type of fund there is. They're taking our funds from EPA. For those who are familiar with lead service lines, there are lead service lines in the city of Harvey. The city of Harvey was established in 1891. So there are lead service lines in the city of Harvey. And we were trying to get money for those lines, am I correct? And what did the comptroller do? Took the money. Not only did the comptroller take the money on behalf of the pensions, and like I said, this is the quantity. But then the EPA wrote us a letter saying that they weren't going to give us any more grant funds because our money is taken by the state comptroller. So that means while Linwood, Homewood, Flossmoor, Matteson, University Park, Olympia Field, that's why Orland Park, Tinley Park, and Colton, and everybody else gets to drink lead-free water, we get to get stuck with lead water because we can't get the money because our money is being taken by the comptroller due to something that happened many years ago. Many years ago, under another administration. And And we have to continually try to figure out a way to find a way. Next slide. Same thing with the fire pension litigation. I'm not going to belabor this. Same thing with the fire pension litigation. Same thing happened. Next slide, please. And I think I've made my point. Maybe I haven't, but I think I have, because as far as sales tax, we have the same issue. This money continues to be taken. Next slide. State income tax, same thing. Next slide. Our motor fuel tax. Some people ask, why don't we fix the streets? Why don't we take care of those things? What about potholes and things of that nature? That money is being taken through the fire administrations. And I just have to just also know, because I've been here in the city for so long, and I'm looking at some of our wonderful residents, and some of y'all don't even buy the city sticker that helps to fund this motor fuel tax, so we can repair those roads. Next slide. The Rivers Casino revenue. We would get about, what did you say, 1.2 million from Rivers, 1.4 million from Rivers Casino. But since Wind Creek is here now, there's been legislation put in place so that we don't get the 1.4 anymore. That instead of receiving the money from Rivers Casino, we won't get that money anymore. And instead, and this doesn't only affect the city of Harvey, it affects a lot of the other Southland communities. The city of Harvey will only receive approximately $800,000. So we go from getting 1.4 at Rivers to 800,000 from Wind Creek. They just got the money. And that's some stuff that happened down in the state. So if you got problems with that, you gotta talk to those people. Next slide. Same thing with grants. And I've already talked to you about the grants. Next slide. Other revenue sources. Same thing. So we know the money isn't there. We know that money disappeared. We know that people weren't charged. We know that money wasn't paid. We know that there's been litigation. We know all these things have happened. But what does the city of Harvey need? Well, the city of Harvey needs roughly $51 million annually to pay its operational needs. $51 million. And there's not a one person, because I see some employees in the audience, there's not one person who works for the city of Harvey that makes the same or more than what their counterpart would make in a village in the city of Harvey. Our employees are understaffed, they're underpaid, okay? And we need approximately $51 million annually to pay for our operational needs. We receive about $30 million, so we're shy once again. Too much money. And now, in addition to receiving approximately $30 million per year, we're also, if you go to the next slide, please, we also are receiving 35 because of those fire and police pensions. Now, I gotta say it again because someone's going to misconstrue what I'm saying, so I want to make sure that it's clear, because I said it before. This is not a reflection on our police department, it's not a reflection on our fire department. And when I call it a pyramid scheme, it was a pyramid scheme that the previous administration was involved in, to basically use that money to have to fund a pension from people who are actually paying active members. Because, once again, sometimes, you know, I do as well with my feelings every now and then. And as they say, you feel some type of way. I don't want any of our first responders feeling that way at all because of the work that they do. But because we only collect about $30 million, and then 35% of that is gone, we tried to keep this city operating for the past 6 years. And we tried every creative way that we could to try to make sure that this city had streets like the fire protection, that we had garbage picked up, refuse picked up every week, and that we weren't on the news. We worked opportunities off to try to do something. That's exactly what we did. We did increase property taxes because we knew that our residents could not afford it. And we didn't have the ability to qualify for another bond to pay for any of these expenses the way a normal municipality would be able to backslide. So of course, we have additional challenges. Nobody sees their city's entire financial situation. The Illinois law has no provision for municipal bankruptcy, because there's some who say, well, why don't you just do what Detroit did? You know, Detroit's on the menu, so why don't you do what they did? There is no provision for at least home rule municipalities to engage in bankruptcy. And while we want to pay all of our bills, there is no mechanism for a municipality to consolidate its debt. It's like Chapter 13 and something like that. There's no ability for us to do that. So we basically just pay as you go. And we have officially run out.
Oh, wow.
Next slide. When the city attempted to lay off employees, the unions have challenged our attempts at every move. And the arbitrators who were either unaware of what we were going through, or maybe they just didn't believe our financial challenges, have issued additional awards. So this is how this works. We'll get an arbitration award from the arbitrator. We can't pay the arbitration award. So then the unions will go file another unfair labor practice and go into arbitration to try us to get us to pay the thing that we can't pay. Okay? And then when we can't pay it, and we can demonstrate that we can't pay it, then the arbitrator issues another award for us not paying the award that we were supposed to pay. And now we gotta try to pay that award, in addition to the award we were supposed to pay, and they want how much percent? And they want an additional 6% as well. Even though we lack the revenue to pay, and we can do so. And you know what the arbitrator said? Well, we should be able to pay these things because the other municipalities around us can pay them. That's like you being a doctor, and unfortunately our school teachers don't make enough money, and me being a school teacher, and the expectation is I'm supposed to pay the same amount of taxes that you pay, because we live in the same neighborhood. No, it doesn't make any sense. But the way arbitrators look at it, it does. And it continues to put the city of Hardy in a deeper hole. Next slide. Same thing with these lawsuits and our workers' compensation cases. We've tried cases, we've won, and we've settled cases, but we have approximately 90%, from what I recall, approximately 90% of those cases are cases from the previous administration. We've had cases going back as far as 2007. 2007. That were never either settled, negotiated, or whatever. But the judges and the arbitrators look at a single case and they don't consider that Harvey cannot immediately pay out its judgments. And it seems to me, honestly, and this is my honest opinion, that they don't care. And so, we've tried to negotiate settlements to no avail. We've tried to get the opportunity to pay off our judgments a little bit longer over time. To no avail. Of course, everybody wants their money. I love telling the what I call the sergeant story. Okay? God bless you, sergeants. I know I love you, but I gotta come for you for a second. Because we wanted to get new cars for the city. Because when I came into the city, you could see through the floorboard of each and every police vehicle. It was like using a Flintstone, and you would pedal with your feet to try to get the car going. And we were trying to get new cars, but we also had to pay back pay to our sergeants, and the sergeants were supposed to get it. But the question was asked about getting the vehicles or paying them immediately. And they wanted their money. Even though the cars would have put them in a better position to be able to do the jobs that they were being paid to do. Now, I'm not on, as they say, hit on somebody because they want to get the cheese. But at the same time, if we're doing this together, you have a totally different perspective. Next. I'm gonna put that. Oh, yeah, that was it. Huh. Yeah, that's the last thing. If we can we go back? Yes, we can go back. Well, oh, there we go. Yeah, we also tried to file legislation to allow us to pay off our judgments over a long period of time, but that failed because of pushback from the trial lawyers, lobbyists. Okay? So everybody's protecting their interests. Everybody's taking care of themselves. And while they're taking care of themselves, the city of Harvey continues to go down. And that's one of the main parts of this story. It's not just about what happened in the previous administration. It's about a lot of people sat and watched those things happen, and they absolutely not. People who relied on it to do something, and they did nothing. Next slide. So we had several successes, of course. We have finally sealed the deal on Indian litigation over the bond default. We got ourselves out of the Securities Exchange Commission's investigation, and that complaint was dismissed. We took care of that. Next slide. We, of course, brought in, of course, some economic development, most recently Harvey Loss, which has been extremely successful. And it's a $20 million investment by Pivotal. Next slide. We're also overhauling Metro and Pace. They have received money on behalf of the city of Harvey. So for those who think that for some odd reason that when you see these initiatives taking place, and you see the construction or whatever it is, you don't have to worry. The money, those who want to worry, you don't have to worry. The money don't come past my desk. Because money I don't even see what it looks like. I don't get to sniff it. That money goes straight from wherever the grant is, straight to the people doing the work. But that kind of happens when you have a hotel deal, where you're supposed to build a hotel, and all the money disappears. Now, it doesn't make a difference that you have a new administration, and that you have new people working in that administration, and that your mayor is an attorney. They don't care. They're making sure that bottom line is I don't touch money anyway. So I don't have to worry about going to jail for those who would like to sue me. Because the simple fact is, the money goes straight from the grant, straight to the people performing the work, and we have to provide documentation on all of them. Isn't that right there, Rosalie? Next slide, please. So, of course, we know that the city of Harvey is a desirable location. We have all these businesses, we have the locations, we have all the rails, we have all of the expressways, we have all of those things, but there are some other things that are hindering us. We can't seize property. So when you see some of the property that needs to be redeveloped, we can't seize that property because we don't have the money to seize it. Somebody the other day talked about the fact that I loaned the city of Harvey $25,000 of my own personal money. We don't have the money to actually seize those properties. So when you have an abandoned property, say for instance on your block, okay, as I do as well, and you have that abandoned property on your block, It may be owned by a private party, not owned by the city. The city could attempt to try to seize that property, take over that property, and try to put that property back on the tax rolls. But in order for us to be able to seize the property, we have to have the finances to be able to do so. To be able to record, to be able to pay fees, to be able to do everything that needs to be done, to be able to pay litigation. If the property needs to be torn down, we have to have the money in order to tear it down. And we don't have the finances to do so. As a mayor, if we had the resources to tear down all of the properties that needed to be torn down, we would tear them down. If we had the resources to fix all the streets the way they need to be fixed, we would fix them. The reason why it's not done is because we don't have the revenue to be able to do so. And that's what happens. You guys all right? I understand, yeah. While we're in church, we're going to praise God for bringing our brother Tyrone back to us. Man, come on now. Thank you. Give us the praise. Y'all saw how bad that this brother was. But he was still talking all the time. Like, he was in the hospital. So, we don't have the resources to be able to do so. If we had the resources to do so, you don't have to believe me, but I'm going to tell you, those things would be done. Absolutely. So much so that yes, I did loan the city $25,000 of my own money that I earned, to tear down my house here in the city. And I did that because the city of Harvey did not have the money to be able to do so. We don't have, unfortunately, somebody else said, I don't know about it. We don't have what all the other municipalities have. And that's what we're trying to get to. That's what we need to get to. And hopefully we can get the next slide. Yeah, we've had, as you already know, Pitt County has assisted with infrastructure needs. Next slide. We don't have a law for bankruptcy. Next slide. And so currently, House Bill 4024. Everyone, pay attention here. For those who have drifted off a little bit, pay attention. House Bill 4024 is currently pending in the veto session, which would provide $30 million in relief to the city of Harvey to continue operating until other revenue sources kick in. Because we still got a lot of work to do. We've also drafted legislation that prohibits the comptroller from being able to seize the restricted funds. Because remember, once again, I went on Fox News and I said, Fox Business, and I said that the pensions should be paid. I still believe that. But I don't believe that the restricted funds should be used in order to pay. Because to me, that's just a misappropriation of the intent of what those funds are supposed to be. So we've also drafted that legislation to be able to do so. And that brings us to where we are now. The financially distressed city law. So there's going to be, first of all, before we get into this, because we're in the wrap-up stage now, guys. Before we get to it, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen and taking this journey with us. It's important that we do so because in the city such as the city of Harvey, some people have been here for their entire lives. And some just moved here a year, 2 years ago, and don't understand quite where we were, where we came from, and what we're experiencing now. So I appreciate you taking that journey to this point. Next slide. Financially distressed city law, we're just asking for one thing. for the council to take action under the financially distressed city law. The purpose of the law is to provide secure financial basis for the continued operation of a financially distressed city, which is what I'm hoping at this particular point in time that the city of Harvey will be declaring. But we have to do this in steps. And this is where the experts are going to come out. But they can do all their talking head stuff later. Council, we're only asking for one thing. The first step is to have the council pass an ordinance requesting that the Department of Revenue certify the city of Harvey as to say that we qualify to become a financially distressed city. Now, what does that basically mean? What's the criteria? The criteria basically is that we're in the top 5% of high tax rates. We're there. We're in the lower 5% of tax collections. In my opinion, we're there. But the numbers are the thing that's going to tell us really where we are. And that is by having the Department of Revenue to take a look at our current condition and to make sure or to verify that we meet that criteria. That is the only thing that we are asking for at this particular time. There are other parts to it. There are other things that will have to be done in the future. We're not asking for this at this particular time. Because if we don't qualify for Part A, we can't go to Part B anyway. Okay? So we're asking for the council to vote in favor of this. Ultimately, it would pave the way for us to seek additional relief, which would include the appointment for some people who want to have it, for those who would love to have it, and I welcome it, and oversight, financial oversight authority, to be able to come in and go over our finances and check them out and make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Because unless we get a reset here, okay, which is one of the things that this administration, we were trying to figure out a way to keep the boat afloat without having to go this route. There are some people in this audience that are members of the R-V Coalition. I'm going to invoke some names: Mr. Nunn, Mr. Mahone, two people that used to advocate for this thing here. And at one point or another, during the time that they were in their lives, God rest their souls, we discussed this financially distressed city law. But if we did not have to go in that direction, we wanted to try to avoid it. And I want to give some credit to this administration and specifically all the elected officials that are participating in trying to keep us afloat during that period of time. But we're now at a point where we have to make a decision on where we're going to be. And for those who would like to see the financial oversight, because even though we present the bills every 2 weeks, and even though the Finance Committee goes over the bills, and even though they're passed by the council, some people say it's still not transparent enough. You will have a financial authority to be able to do so. And your mayor is not shying away from it. Your mayor welcomes it. We welcome it. Next slide. After we do that, though, because the city of Harvey lacks the ability to pay operational expenses, I'm also going to exercise my powers under the city code to allow me to coordinate activities in the case of an emergency resulting from other causes, which means we are going to have some changes in our operation until we can figure out how to do more and how to do better. Some people want to call it a shutdown. I don't call it a shutdown because we're not just walking away from the city, but we are going to have to change the way that we operate because we cannot afford to pay all of the people that work for the city. We cannot afford to pay all of the bills that we need to pay. We cannot afford to pay all of the vendors that we need to pay. And just as the city shut down and operated with skeleton crews during COVID-19, we are going to have to restructure the way we operate now to make sure that we can afford to pay the people who work here every single day. Now, we are going to have the necessary conversations with the necessary collective bargaining bodies. We are going to follow all the rules that we are supposed to follow because we definitely don't want them following any more unfair labor practices because that's just going to cost us more money anyway.
That's crazy.
So we don't want them to do that. We're going to try to take care of as many people as we possibly can in this administration. But it would be irresponsible of us to think that we can continue to operate the city the way that we do when we know, and you have historically seen, that we don't have the revenues coming in to our city the way that we need them, and we don't have the ability to bond ourselves out of it. So, next slide, please. So, we will be able to temporarily resume operations, and we want and before we get there, we want everybody that I discussed, the pensions, both police and fire, the arbitrators, the unions,
Why do you use that
the
vision?
vendors,
That ain't Harvey.
the federal government, state government, county government. We want everybody to come to the table because I've never said that I was the smartest man in the world. And so at the end of the day, if there's someone out here that has a better idea and can show us how to get it done, I'm with you. I always talk about if Barack Obama ran for mayor of the city of Harvey, I'd go to him instead.
What?
Just because he can go ahead and possibly get us some more what we need. But if the state controller stops seizing our restricted funds, it would free up additional revenue for the city. Okay? If the Cook County assessor decides to issue the bills, and those bills actually came on time, and people paid on time, that will give us additional revenue. If the fire pension, because the police pension, I believe, has already been paid, is that correct? If the fire pension would renegotiate, we never said we want to go from 35% to 0%. I don't believe that's right either. But we need to sit at the table and figure out how we're going to do this because at the end of the day, if there's no city, there's a pension. So, if the fire pension would be willing to renegotiate our full repayment of the pension fund over a longer period of time at a lower percentage, that would help us. Okay? And the legal fees, because we also pay legal fees for them, is that correct? And we paid their lawyer, I think somewhere around, how much we paid? $2 million? We paid their attorney about $2 million so far. This is year. So if we can sit down and have a conversation, our biggest problem, in my opinion, is the fact that all of these entities are operating in their own silos, looking at their own interests. And I'm not saying that they're not supposed to protect themselves or protect the people that they represent. But there's that saying that one of the aldermen don't necessarily like to hear, but you're cutting your nose to spite your face. And that's exactly what happened in this particular case. Next slide. If the General Assembly or the county were able to give us the ability to foreclose on tax delinquent properties, because we don't have the ability to do that. Isn't it funny? We rely on property taxes that are collected by someone else. We don't have the ability to collect those taxes. But at the same time, they're not aggressively collecting those taxes on our behalf. How is it that any city in the United States of America, but specifically, can have a 52% collection rate? And there's no one running out there trying to get the rest of their money. You try owing your capital loan credit card an extra 5 cents and see somebody going to be calling you on the phone talking about, is this Mr. Gillespie? No. But when we collect 52%, nobody's doing anything. We're just allowed to exist this way. Is it that we don't deserve to have a full amount? Or what's going on? So if we can get the general assembly of the county to give us authority to foreclose on those taxable properties and parcels, it would give us the ability to put those properties back in the tax roll, and we are, of course, open to any other ideas. So I think that's it. But once again, thank you so much for listening. And so now at this particular point in time, you want to follow the rule, and you guys, council decide what it is that you want to do. Excuse me. No. And it's disingenuous for you to stand up in the middle of the meeting out of order. Thank you very much. Council, what is your pleasure?
Point of order.
Okay. We have a motion to limit automatic comment to 3 minutes per hour.
Point of order.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Okay, well, there is no point of order because there's nothing that is out of order. We have a motion by the.
Mayor Clark, we really need to have a point of order.
That's improper, and you are out of order.
I'm always out of
So,
order.
yes, so there is a motion by the fifth and a second by the sixth to limit automatic comment, so we are going to have it to 3 minutes. Is that correct?
Spoken for the past hour and 30
Would
minutes. We need our vote tonight in order to
Would you please come to order?
I'm hopeful, no
Other
police, no
please
arresting,
come to order.
we speaking up on behalf of
Please
the
come to order. Would you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Alderperson Ruiz, that's deplorable, fifth ward Alderman. Alderperson Chapman? No. Alderperson Smith? Yes. Alderperson Key? Alderperson Randall? Alderperson Rogers? Yes. Motion carried.
Motion carried, okay. So what we will do is, we will start with the second one. There's something to be said, so,
Could we start
in
in the
response
sequential
to
order?
this,
Could we start in the sequential order?
no, we can start where the chair says that we're going to start. You have something to say? Please set the clock for 3 minutes.
Residents, I want you to pay close attention. Why would we be hindering any and or specific debate or conversation around something that's going to have an everlasting impact on us for who knows how long? Tonight, you didn't hear anything more than what you already knew. You did Google search when you type in Eric Kellogg.
Hello.
What you heard tonight was a blame
Say
game.
that.
And what we need are specific, measurable, you ever seen a SMART? We need that, a SMART chart. Specific, measurable, realistic, timely goals. That's not being said here. We're not having any understanding. Why would I be limited to 3 minutes, but the mayor's been speaking for 90 minutes? Did you know today that $1.4 million dropped in our bank account on behalf of Amalgamated Bank? Right, that's the support for 25 plus residents that's free. I'm pardoning all employees in here. You all right here, and in the back, very few residents, but certainly employees. And that is supposed to support you all being able to work. Where is that? That's what should be up on this screen, the bank accounts. Not a slideshow depiction of what we knew happened in the previous administration. At some point in time, we have to step up and have courage enough to say what we're going to do to move the city forward. when you spend $32,000, I know grant funding. I've never been granted access to any of those documents to identify that that grant funding was specifically allocated to anything. Why would we be having, I mean, even this, I messaged Ms. Gonzalez, just 48 hours ago I found out about this. Why, as an older person, am I finding out 48 hours, it can't even be a 48-hour true posting, because we found out at 1:40 via Facebook, 1:46 in my inbox. Why wasn't it sent to me on Wednesday? If we are truly having a financial uplift, why did we spend over $32,000 like Ms. Askew mentioned just Sunday, when not even 10% of the residents attended? Not even 10% of the residents attended back in the 4th of July parade.
Hello.
So there it is, almost $80,000 on special events. I think we can add, just like we're gonna ask downstate, the House of Representatives to push us through for the $30 million, we couldn't have asked them to support us in pivoting those funds to go to your streets, to go to the street lights, to go to abandoned properties.
30 seconds.
It's unfortunate, and to be muzzled. You know, Mayor Clark, I'm calling for your immediate resignation.
Hello. Thank you.
And I'm calling for your immediate resignation because this is insanity. We're not doing anything, we're doing the same thing, and we're getting the same results. Taxpayers, you paid almost $30,000 on baseless charges on the rest of me and my mother.
Hello.
But I'm sitting here today, free as a bird.
Hello.
So with that being said, the way in which I just told you 3 line items over $100,000. The past 6 months, you paid $480,000 to BNS construction code, yet we've seen no engineering renderings. And now my time is up. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Huh.
First word, yes, window.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can everyone hear me? Thank you. What are we talking about here? We are talking about an ordinance to request certification and designating our city as a financial distress city. None of it, anything else.
What's your point?
We're talking about the beginning steps. Now, some people may say, well, we know our history. Well, let me tell you something. You know it, you're going to hear it, so we don't repeat it. How many times we were in school, we heard about our history. We cannot just close the door to it. We have to face it, to move over, and accept it to avoid ever repeating it again. This is what this purpose is. This is the purpose for us to sit back and say, do we collectively say, wait a minute, I'm paying the highest taxes here. Do I want a record of that? Darn right I do as a resident. Do I want a record that my community is the lowest collecting base? Darn right I want a record of that. That's going to help each and every one of us in our city to move forward. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. That's what we're voting on today. All this other stuff that we're talking about, this is what's on the agenda. This is what's on the agenda. So my question is, that's all we're voting on, correct, Mr. Mayor?
That's correct.
We are not voting on having an authority to come here and oversight our expenses yet. Am I correct, Mr. Mayor?
Correct. Say it again, let's hear that.
We are not voting on that today. We are voting just the beginning steps to say, hey world, City of Harvey is on the top 3% of the taxes. Wake up all the other taxing guys. We're saying, hey world, we got a 3% in the highest of non-collecting rate. We have a problem here. Somebody come and help us. We're repeating our history back in 2015, raising our hands We need help in the city of Harvey. Thank you, God bless.
I'm seeing hands up. Barney McKee, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I got a little something to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on out. I first like to start off with the simple fact that when I ran for alderman, I knew that we was over $100 million in debt. I knew we had 5,000 vacant properties, but I didn't run my campaign on that. I ran my campaign on what I could do and how I could see the city moving forward and how I can be able to help. So when we constantly play the blame game, or this happened before this, people don't talk like that around election time when they're trying to get some vote. Well, this is because of this, this is because of this. See, people don't want to take accountability. You know, when you take accountability, there's no room for blame. You know, period. So once you start talking about what happened, whatever Kellogg's supposed to did, he inherited from Nick Graves. Whatever Nick Graves inherited, he inherited from Johnson. Whatever Johnson had, it came from Mayor Haynes. And as far as I see, Mayor Haynes ain't did nothing, huh? Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to play a situation game. The thing about it is this. We need to worry about what are we doing right now.
Hello.
When the mayor used an example, if I paid $50,000 and I got a loan for a car and didn't buy a car, if I did something like that, somebody would be making my life miserable if I got away with $50,000. You know, how does those situations, you know, even happen? Where's the record of this actually happening and showing that it did? And this person is still walking around doing this, and everybody, you know, we need to stop. Okay, I was on the finance committee along with Kobe Chapman. Monday, April 12th, February 12th, we were removed from the finance committee for asking too many questions about where our money is going. But yet, the mayor just said himself, he named the people, they stood up and they protested. Did nobody get put out of no meeting? Did nobody go to jail?
Hello.
Okay, so what are we supposed to do? What type of example are we setting for people that stand on up? You know, we need to change the narrative, in my opinion. It's either poor leadership, lack of transparency from the finance company, both, or neither.
30 seconds.
You make the decision. But this all has to stop.
Hello.
Because we need to start, since we didn't took over this administration, the unnecessary fees we've incurred, the lawsuits we've incurred, the people we didn't lay on off and didn't lay off nobody from City Hall, but we lay off our street workers and our police department, which you definitely need. If we don't keep it real, let's keep it real and stop blaming people.
Hello.
Accountability is accountability with no room for blame when you stand up for what you know you did and what you're responsible for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, is the microphone on? Can y'all hear me? All right, y'all know me. This is Alderman Tom. I just got a grade 6 award. First of all, give it honor to God who was ahead of my life. I'm glad to be in the sanctuary one more time because I wasn't supposed to be here. September the 19th, I was in a terrible motorcycle accident where I almost lost my life. Staples in my head, stitches in my butt, my leg, and everything. But I'm here to talk about it. Now, I didn't call to talk about what I've been through because God has already healed me. Okay? One of my boys that come by my house every day at 1 o'clock and he put his index finger on my chest. His name is Jesus Christ. He done already saved me. Now, I'm here for one purpose. And I wasn't going to make it here tonight because I was full of medication and I wasn't in the mood to come out for no nonsense. But I am so glad that our illustrious mayor had the opportunity to say what was on his mind. And if he took an hour and 30 minutes, an hour and 60 minutes, or an hour and 90 minutes, it wasn't enough time. to know what this city is going through. I'm a resident on 146 and Harvey Avenue for 51 years. No, I ain't no wildcat. I went to Parker in Chicago. I ain't no wildcat, but I was 19 years old, and God blessed me to have 70 years, 10. Okay? 70 years. He blessed me with that. And every Monday morning, I get phone calls and they ring off the hook. They say, hey, the garbage man didn't come. Well, don't worry, give me a minute. I called the Republic and they come. Okay? Do you know what it's like not to have your garbage being able to be picked up? Do you know that I speak with Mr. Lewis Williams just like we family members? I talk to him every day, all the time, and he sets me straight as chairman of the finance committee on where we should be going as far as the city. I'm surprised. It was April 7, 2019, when we took office. April 7, 2019. And we've been juggling like Bozo the Circus for 6 years. And I'm wondering, how are we making payroll? How's the water department? How's the street department? Planning department? Hell yeah, you need to bring BNF in because we didn't have qualified, certified people that was able to come to your house and come to your property. Okay, now we're getting results. Is it enough? No. Hell yeah, I'm going to vote for it. I'm going to vote for stage 1 because it's the best thing, and I want to see my city continue to flourish.
Thank you, Alderman. We're going to go down the line. Third ward.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Your participation.
Please. There's something that happened to it.
Good evening. I first want to start off by saying how it's very important for us to attend these meetings. So you all can see the not only here, and all the other entities like the Park District, which you pay taxes for too as well, and the library, okay? Transparency, since I've been an alderperson, I haven't heard that word, so if I had some amount of money for the word transparency that's been used in here on this board, I'd probably be rich, because it's used overkill. It's been like dead horse. At least we say we do this here, that we'll have financial oversight. Wow, we finally got that wish you can ask for. That's financial oversight means transparency, correct? Means transparency, right? And so, after that, not only that, he explained it was a 10% surplus we raised. I mean, we had money in the bank. We had money in the bank. That's what surplus means. We had some money. But it's after the last administration who we got, saying we were blaming. But you know, when you talk about blame, you know what's really interesting? How everybody sat around those whole 16 years and watched us. Let somebody dig us in the ground. Sat around quietly with both eyes open. Let's talk about it. And we still know. You know what the talk is of town? That person still got a hold on the city. You can tell by how foolish that happens here. Everybody coming here and we try to tear down the city. But best we trying to pull it together. They still in place. You can see